Okay, class, we're about to start section 6.1. I know this activity says 6.1 through 6.2, but this is basically just 6.1. And we're going to cover certain parts of this activity. The other part must be done in class. Okay, now we start off with ratio in this meeting. Ratio, a relationship between two quantities, normally expressed as the quotient of one divided by the other. Now, these two quantities basically have the same units. For example, say we had 6 meters divided by 2 meters. These have the same units, and we know 6 divided by 2 is 3. And the units will simplify out. That's the definition of a ratio. Now we come down to our next definition, which is rate. It's a ratio expressing the relationship between two unlike quantities. Just like this, if I had 5 miles divided by 1 hour. Now this is where we get the 5 mph. I know you all have seen that that means miles per hour. Now this is a rate. You have different units and you're comparing the two, the relationship between miles and hour. And this will tell you that it's 5 miles per hour. So this is the definition of rate. We could take a look at a few of these problems here. It says section B, read pages 416 and 418 of the textbook. What is the unit price of each of the following? Now, it says here, A, we have $7.60 for Tootsie Rolls that are 760 count, which means they're supposed to be 760 in the bag. Whenever you're doing a unit price, you always do the dollar amount, which happens to be $7.60, divided by the amount you have in the actual bag. Okay, now what we would do next is we're in a section where we can actually use a calculator. So we could take 7.60 divided by 760. So it'll become 1 cent. So your final answer here is 1 cent basically per piece. Or you could put 1 cent per Tootsie Roll. Either one is fine. And we typically put a slash here to denote that these two are the same. Now I did not have enough space, so let me just rewrite this. We will put the 1 cent per, we could just say Tootsie Roll. So you're paying a penny per Tootsie Roll. Okay, now we go here to B. We have $7.35 for the Reese Minis. So we would take $7.35 and we'll divide that by how many we have in a bag, which is 150. So now we take our calculator. Let me move it back over this way. So we'll take $7.35 divided by how many we have in a bag. Now, this will give us, and we could write that down as 0.049. So we could put is equal to 0.05. Now, because, let me bring this back up here. Because we know in our number system, we only go two digits behind the decimal, we would have to round. So this would be 0.005 when we round it. Now, with that, knowing that, we're doing an approximation, so we need to put the approximation symbol here. So it's approximately, let me scratch that out. It's approximately a nickel per Reese Mini. Okay, so this is your final answer for this one here. Okay, now we have $6.55 for chocolate body parts, and it's $4.25 pound bag. I mean package. So we'll take $6.55 divided by 4.25 pound. Okay, so now this is what we would do. We would take this calculator and we would take 4, well actually no, we'd take 6.55 divided by 4.25. Now we have this long decimal here, but we're just rounded to do 2 decimal places. So what we have is 1.54, so it'd be approximately 1.54, so it's $1.54 per pound. And that's it. Because we did this by the pound package, so it'd be $1.54 per pound. So that's it for that particular problem. Now as far as the other things for rate or ratio, we have to do that in class. Now we'll scroll on down and try this next problem. It says, now see if you could use, we don't have to use this candy to answer the following question. It says it rained 2 out of 5 days in the month of April. On how many days did it rain that month? Okay, it tells us there are 30 days in April. So first of all, 2 out of 5 days means basically 2 days divided by 5 days. Now we know that's a ratio. Now we want to set this equal to. Now it says there are 30 days in April. So this is the total amount. 30 days goes in your denominator. And we don't know how many days it actually rained. Okay, so now we do cross multiplication. 2 times 30 is equal to 5 times x, which is 5x. So now we will write this over here. 2 times 30 is 60, is equal to 5 times x, which is 5x. We divide each side by 5. 60 divided by 5 is 12, and it equals x. So it says on how many days did it rain that month? You could write this down here. It rained 12 days in April. Okay, and that will be your final answer. Now we go to number 6. It says there are 20 students in Mrs. Khalid's 5th grade class. 2 out of 8 students have no brothers or sisters. How many students have no brothers or sisters? So first of all, we know 2 students out of 8 students have no brothers or sisters. And we want to set this equal to. Now, there are 20 students in Miss Khalid's 5th grade class. So we'll put our 20 students here. We'll put x here. Now we would do cross multiplication. 2 times 20 is equal to 8 times x. Now 2 times 20 is 40, is equal to 8x. Now we can divide each side by 8, and we know 5 is equal to x. So our final answer here would be this here. There are 5 students with no brothers or sisters. And that will be our final answer. Now, these previous 2 problems that we just did leads to our next definition, which is called proportion. It's a statement that 2 ratios are equal. Now, if you notice, a ratio means you're basically dividing the same units by the same units, students with students. And then with what proportion means is that you're comparing the 2 to make them equal. Just like we did here, 2 students over 8 students is equal some value over 20 students. And when we did our cross multiplication, this is what proved to make both of these equal. Because watch this, 2 divided by 8, let's go back to our fractions. 2 divided by 8 is the same thing as 2 over 2 times 2 times 2, which would give us 1/4, right? So this ratio is equal to 1/4. So now, when we substitute in this value for x, this side should also give us 1/4. So this is really 5 over 20, which is broken down to 5. That's the prime factorization of 5. And the prime factorization of 20 is 2 times 2 times 5. These 5's will simplify out, and it equals 1/4. These two are equal to each other, so they are proportional. Now we have a little bit more practice here. It says write each ratio as a ratio of whole numbers using fractional notation. Write the fraction in simplest form. Okay, we have 7.7 to 10. So we have 7.7 divided by 10. Now, the first thing is we must get rid of all decimals in this fraction. So in order to get rid of this decimal, we have to move this decimal place one place here. And we know a decimal is after this 10. So we have to move this decimal one place here. So now we will add 77 over 100. Now, okay, this is in simplest form because we cannot do anything else with the 77 and 100. So that is your final answer. Now we go over here to number 2. We have 6 ounces all over 16 ounces. Now we could simplify this like we would do any other fraction. The prime factorization of 6, we know is 2 and 3. And the prime factorization of 16 is 4 2's. Now, we simplify out the 2's we have in common, and we have 3/8 because these ounces will simplify out. Now, we look here, 9.61 to 7.62. Let's try this. Before we write in the fraction, let's get rid of these decimals. So we need to move this decimal 2 places. So then we need to move this decimal 2 places. And both of them still does not have any other decimal. So it'll be 961 all over 762. So they have nothing else in common. So we're done with this problem here. Okay, now we go here to number 4. We have 120 miles to 80 miles. So what we have to do here is this here. We will have our 120 miles divided by 80 miles. Now, before I told you all in class that whenever a number ends in 0, we could divide both of them by 10. So let's do that first. Okay, 120 divided by 10, we know is 12. And 80 divided by 10 is 8. Now we could do the prime factorization. 12 breaks down to 2 times 2 times 3. And 8 breaks down to 2 times 2 times 2. These 2's will simplify each other out, and we will be left with 3 over 2. Now, of course, remember, these miles will simplify out, so that is why you don't have the units of measure here. Okay, class, with number 5 and 6, I took the liberty of filling out just about everything with this, so I'm going to go through this with you step by step. The first thing is we need to change these mixed numbers to improper fractions, which we did. 3 1/3 and 4 1/6. These are their improper fractions. Now we change the word to division, which we discussed before. So you bring down your fraction, division becomes multiplication, and you take the reciprocal of the second fraction. Now we take the prime factorization of both of the numbers. 10 is 2 and 5, and 6 is 2 and 3. 3 is prime, and 25 breaks down to 5 and 5. Now what they have in common is 1 5 and 1 3. And so your final answer would end up being 4/5. Now that's it for number 5. Number 6, 21 and a half becomes 51 over 2. 2 and 5, 6 becomes 17 over 6. That 2 becomes division. And so we have 51 over 2 times 6 over 17. 51 breaks down to 3 times 17. 6 breaks down to 2 times 3. And 2 and 17 are both prime. So 17 and 2 simplify out, and that would give us 9 over 1, which is just 9. Now, typically we would leave it